If you have a child, a daughter with melanin, and you send her to UConn, you need your head examined. If you have a child with melanin, male or I'm gonna go out, male or female, men or woman, playing basketball or any sport for that matter, and you're sending them to UConn, particularly to play for Geno Auriemma, you need your head examined, or you don't really care about your child's development as a Black woman. I haven't been that specific about him, but I felt this way from day one. I've always felt, first of all, I have issue. Let me just be honest. That there are, it feels very much like the priests and the Catholic, like you have men coaching young women, young developing women, yelling at them, white men mostly. Very few Black men coaches in the NCAA, but white men can coach Black girls' bodies. There's a lot of Black girls playing on these teams that get y'all to the NCAAs, and you got white men yelling in their faces, slapping them on their asses and telling them what to do. Already fundamentally, the visual of that is problematic for me. As somebody that started my career in high school sports, covered the NCAAs, I was in the arena when Cheryl Swoops won her championship, saw Vivian Stringer make it to the Final Four for the first time at Iowa. I've been in those arenas. I covered a lot of this. I think I went to like 4 NCAA championships, both men and women, because I covered sports for a few years at the Daily News. So that said, I've always had a problem with this and why this was okay. Because I don't see the opposite happening. Aren't a whole lot of women coaching men yelling at them. Although I thought Pat Summitt would have made a great coach for in the NCAAs for men or the NBA. I thought Pokey Chapman, before she got into that issue, and I think Dawn Staley could absolutely coach in the NBA. Period. I think those brothers there would respect the hell out of her. Right now, she's at South Carolina, a great NCAA player herself. I think she played for Virginia. And now she has coached South Carolina, the Gamecocks, to not 1 but 2 NCAA championships. They are basically in HBCU, in my opinion, because of the way she's running that team. And they beat the brakes off of Connecticut in their home on Sunday. And after the game, Geno threw something on the court, and this is what he said, right? And I don't know why y'all keep sending your children to play for him. I don't understand it for the life of me, but I feel like time is changing. It's time for us, culturally sending your little girls to play and have this man. Anyway, he said, I just couldn't keep quiet any longer. There was a technical foul towards the end of the game. The technical was stupid, but I didn't say anything for a long time. He said, and if you want to bring in one of his players, you can see the bruises on her body. It's basketball. It's non-contact, but you come into the paint if you want to, you're going to catch these elbows. Anyway, it's just appalling, he said, what teams do to her now. This must be his star player. It's not basketball anymore. I don't know what it is, but it's not basketball. Now, this prompted other people to call Dawn Staley's team a bunch of thugs. Now, let me take you all the way back to, what's his name? There's a human stem cell. No, I'm going to take you back to Don Imus talking about the Rutgers team. Y'all remember that? Called them a bunch of nappy-headed hoes. Y'all remember that? The demonization, I started off the show talking about Birth of a Nation, is deep. The way in which we are categorized. We talked yesterday about the sapphire trope of Black women and the mammy trope. And I mean, it's like all of this we carry with us on a regular basis, and we have to defend. Oh, I can't talk too loud because then I'll be considered an angry Black woman. How much contortion can one body take? Do you know what I'm saying? One mind take to have to shrink yourself so that you're not categorized a certain kind of way. So I'm on these airwaves as loud and as appearingly angry as possible. So you understand that you can be yourself and still love the world and love yourself and be complete and whole. Show up every day as your full self. This this sport thing, though, is a microcosm of life, which is why, I take exception to it. And I just feel like in many ways, these girls have been groomed, and they're girls to me because, I'm of a certain age, to be, and it affects the WNBA as well, because that's the farm system, right? So you're sending people that have been, beaten into submission. I'm going to say it, and there's so much here. But I can't stand Geno Auriemma, primarily because he shouldn't be in a position to yell in any black girl's face anyway. And then you're going to characterize Dawn Staley's South Carolina team as a bunch of basically thugs and hoodlums, and you're complaining about fouls. So here's what you need to know. During that game, 44 fouls were called. 44. South Carolina had 21 fouls called against them. It was the most fouls that have been called against South Carolina in any game this season, because Dawn Staley knows how to coach. They're not just out there indiscriminately fouling people. So she was like, you know what? I done just about had enough of him. So let's play the clip from Dawn Staley.
We won several national championships playing the exact same way that we're playing today. When you say it's not basketball, when you say your players, has bruises on her body, our entire post players, if we unclothed them, you would see the bruises. But I just don't like the narrative every time that we're successful that we're called something other than players who are locked in, that plays hellified defense, that gives it up for the greater good of the game. They play it the right way. They approach it the right way. Whether they win, whether they lose, we don't denounce anybody's play. We are always uplifting the game of women's basketball. Now, when we were getting our heads beat in by UConn for all those years, I said nothing. And I say nothing before and after the game that we just won is they are the standard. Okay, they're a standard on the court. They're not the standard off the court, because you take your hits. You take your hits just like everybody else. We play in SEC, and that's how we play. And we're not going to change it. And you're not going to write a narrative about how we play so the officials can change how they play in March and in the NCAA tournament. So I hope they rewrite that narrative to say, this is us. This is the number one team in the country. I do not want the narrative to be South Carolina plays a physical game. They're tackling people out there. We've been called so many things, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it because I coach some of the best human beings that the game has ever had. And we've been called thugs. We've been called prisoners. We've been called monkeys. And I'm quite frankly sick of it. Sick of it. They do it the right way. Our players pick players up off the floor where we got sportsmanship. We have it all. We take this very seriously, being the number one team in the country, being a team that young people look at and want to emulate. And we set the example of how you do it and do it the right way. So I'm not going to stand down when you're going to denounce how we play, because you're denouncing our national championship. You're denouncing the product that we put up on the floor. You're denouncing families. You're denouncing just our achievements. And I'm not going to stand by and allow people.
That's right. Allow people to do that. I'll finish her sentence. That's right. That's what that looks like. You know what he's really mad about? He's not getting the number one players coming out of high school anymore. You know where they're going? To South Carolina. He can't compete with Dawn Staley, because when she shows up, you're seeing somebody that's not just a champion, WNBA player herself, NCAA player herself. Like you're seeing legacy when she shows up and she's talking about winning. You see it, and she cares about these women. So you're not getting the recruits that you used to get. Oh, so sorry. You shouldn't have ever been in that situation to begin with. If we were conscious, no way in hell anybody should have been sending their good, amazing children to be coached under you with your slights. And you can't tell me it doesn't impact them. These kids, they come out there, they're so indoctrinated into a system, of not challenging. It's almost like military, right? But the attacks on people's souls, and you just can't lose with grace, sir. You can't lose with grace. You're showing your team how to be sore ass losers. If another good ass parent sends their child to be coached by this man, you definitely need some counseling.